Hi, I'm Joel Bloom, president of New Jersey Institute of Technology. At NJIT, we believe that not only our students, but all citizens need to be informed about the issues facing higher education. As New Jersey's Science and Technology University, NJIT is proud to support the important programming produced by the Caucus Educational Corporation and their partners in public television.
State of Affairs with Steve Adubato is brought to you from the Agnes Varus NJTV studio at 2 Gateway. Funding has been provided by PSE&G, committed to providing safe, reliable energy now and in the future. NJIT, New Jersey Institute of Technology. Suez, water solutions to meet tomorrow's environmental challenges. St. Joseph's Health, a passion for healing. It's what's inside us. The Nicholson Foundation, supporting right from the start NJ. Summit Medical Group. And by the Healthcare Foundation of New Jersey, founded by the Jewish community.
Welcome to State of Affairs. I'm Steve Adubato. More importantly, we're coming to you from the Agnes Varus NJTV studio in beautiful Brick City, Newark, New Jersey. Pleased to welcome someone who people know in Newark very well. Roger Leone is the superintendent of Newark Schools. Good to see you.
Great seeing you.
July 1st, 2018, your life changed dramatically. How so?
Well, that was the first day that I became superintendent of Newark Schools, and extremely excited, honored, and humbled for that opportunity.
Talk about your background leading into this incredibly challenging role.
Well, I born in Newark, attended Newark Schools, graduated from Hawkins Street School and Science High School, received my bachelor's from Rutgers University, New Brunswick, Cook College, continued on to my master's in administration from Montclair State University. So student, teacher, principal for 10 years, principal at Dr. Horton's School in the North Ward, University High School in the South Ward. Taught at my elementary school, coached at my high school in debate, and for the last 10 years served as assistant superintendent of schools in various capacities, overseeing the high schools, overseeing a group of elementary schools, responsible for the supervision of program and instruction throughout the district, and now with this responsibility of assuming it all.
Roger, how many students in the school system?
So 36,000 students in the school system, 55,000 plus students in Newark.
Is that the charter school piece?
So part of it, so 19,000 is the students that are in the charter schools. And then the plus that I have clearly shared that I'm assuming full responsibility for are students that are in our parochial schools, as well as students who reside in Newark but do not attend a school in Newark.
They're all yours? All
of them.
Number one challenge facing the children connected to Newark in our schools, all schools, is?
Well, we have a couple of problems. The primary one is obviously student achievement. We are falling behind, while there has been much progress, our counterparts throughout the entire state. We have over 600 school districts in New Jersey. We're not faring as high as I know the capacity of our students and the quality of our staff would suggest.
Because?
Well, there are a number of factors. The things that we cannot control are what occurs prior to the student arriving in school and as they exit. But we have them for a good 6 to 8 hours during the course of the day that would suggest to me, with the type of staff that we have, with the necessary resources that they will be provided, and the type of students that want the very best for their own education, that with factors between the home and the school, kind of focusing everyone, providing clarity for the work ahead, I'm sure that we're going to be really successful.
Keeping kids safe, how challenging?
Absolutely.
Like physically safe?
Well, you know, we need to make sure that everyone in our city is safe. So the passage from school to home is extremely important, as well as the passage from school, home to school as well. You know, ultimately during the course of the day, we need to make sure that students and staff are also safe. So, you know, the worries that students have, the world today is far different from when it was when I was growing up. There are a number of challenges that our students have. Mental health is one of the biggest factors that I think is
mental health issues for a 12-year-old?
Mental health issues for our 12-year-olds in our schools, a real serious
like what,
problem.
Superintendent?
Well, I mean, I had a convocation at the start of the year for 8th graders in the entire city of Newark, the class of 2023, giving them challenges as well as what I did with all of the upperclassmen in our high schools. And I asked a simple question: how many of you have been impacted because of the loss of one of your family relatives to violence? And 1/3 of 2,500 students raised their hands.
Lost someone.
So, you know, how are we addressing that issue? So the students come to our schools, and we're required to meet the literacy and mathematics requirements that are outlined by the state, and we are clearly, you know, working hard to making sure that we are doing that. But the students need to come in whole to our schools. So part of the responsibility, we have teachers who not only have to teach the content, but have to teach care and you know, be the custodian of the student as well as social worker. So we're really demanding on our staff, and we were built for this. So the challenges that our students have are ones that, you know, we will focus on and take seriously.
Roger, it was 22 years that the state of New Jersey was literally in control of the Newark Public Schools.
That's correct.
Recently, local control. You, others in Newark, in control of your own destiny. Biggest change, biggest opportunity that allows for those in Newark to, quote, control, if you will, the future of the school system.
Well, the last 22 years have been critical towards where we are today. So part of one of my incredible challenges is to just provide clarity for everyone, and that is in fact our focus. Newark Public Schools clarity by 2020.
What do you mean clarity?
So because a lot has occurred, there's a responsibility that has not been totally understood by the citizens
You mean
of
like
the
who's
city
in
of Newark.
charge?
Like, who's in charge? So right now we are clear that the citizens of Newark are actually in charge.
The State Department of Education, whether we will have, in fact, the State Commissioner of Education, Rep-elect, but they are no longer, they were responsible because 20+ years ago, the state came in and said, because of the 1947 Constitution requiring every student gets a thorough and efficient education, we don't think Newark's doing it. Series of cases, they come in and take over. They're not in charge, they're not involved, if ultimately responsible because of the Constitution, but you guys are in charge.
Exactly. So as of February 1, the State Department of Education gave full local control to the Newark Public Schools.
They're not hanging over your shoulder.
Not at all, but there is a transition period that is about 2 years in the making until January 2020 that is part of my responsibility to make clear to everyone that not only are we focusing on what the transition plan suggests, our requirements, but that we have a far bigger plan. And that bigger plan is what's going to occur in the next decade. So from 2020 to 2030, part of what my responsibility in the next couple of months is to outline clear milestones of what our people need to do.
Left. Go ahead.
Well, we have this whole idea of the type of professional development that we have. I forecast that by 2025 in Newark, we will have a professional development school that will provide an opportunity for our school district to study itself, to actually assess what we've done, applaud the accomplishments, figure out what the challenges are, strategize, and involve as many people at the table as possible, from funders to community-based organizations, from our schools to all schools, making sure that everyone is aware of what needs to be clear for everyone moving forward, what are the responsibilities of the school system, and then ultimately, how do we better our city by educating our children far better than we've ever had before.
Well stated. Thank you, Superintendent. Wish you all the best.
Thank you.
Stay right there. This is State of Affairs, and we will be right back.
To see more State of Affairs with Steve Adubato programs, visit us online at stateofaffairsnj.org. If you would like to express an opinion, email us at info@caucusnj.org. Find us on Facebook at facebook.com/Steve Adubato, PhD. And follow us on Twitter at Steve Adubato.
State of Affairs is pleased to welcome for the first time Anjalee Khemlani, who is managing editor of an organization, of an entity, of a platform called ROI-NJ, which is?
A statewide business news site.
And by the way, check it out, folks. We're doing a lot of interactive work with them. I can't tell you how much great information we get from the site. Question. You've been doing a lot of work writing about the innovation economy. What is it in New Jersey and why does it matter so much?
Well, I think we have to ask the governor more about that, but the innovation economy...
When you're writing about it, what's the hook that interests you?
Well, I think it's interesting to see how we're looking at the purpose of business differently and the organization of business differently, whether it's looking at the way that they sit together in terms of in one building and, rather than these big office parks, there's a push to this sort of urban mixed use structure. And then there's also the idea of a lot smaller space. So while there are still big companies out there and ones that, the ones that want to grow to that level, there's a lot more focus on smaller level space leasing, shared spaces and stuff like that.
The other thing that's interesting is I read your work. And by the way, check out the website. You see the RO website. Check out Anjalee's work and her colleagues as well. This whole thing of tech clusters, North Central and South Jersey, are there tech clusters in all? By the way, I don't even know. There's Stephen Colbert did a thing on whether there's a Central Jersey or not. I haven't figured it out or not. I know we're a big state and we're a long state.
Yep.
These tech clusters are?
So they're sort of forming organically. From what we can tell, there are certain hubs, if you will, just they're coming together, the ones that have similar interests. So for example, there's a strong fintech presence in northern Jersey, whether you look at Newark, where they're kind of inching to. Fintech, financial technology.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anjalee, you can't do that to us. That's your world. Okay, financial
technology.
Got it. Go ahead.
So there's.
I'm going to use fintech on someone else.
Yeah,
but go ahead.
You'll sound cool.
Yeah.
So
oh, thanks. It's going to take more than that, but go ahead.
So there's a fintech hub sort of forming in northern Jersey. Then you have the sort of Holmdel area that people are looking at, but there's also simultaneously a long-standing pharma and bio and life science industry in the central Jersey area, where you look more at the Bridgewater, Somerset, that area, or New Brunswick, where J&J is.
Sure.
So there, that cluster has existed for a very long time. I think it used to be a little bit more spread out throughout the state, but we're starting to see a really strong presence there. And then when you go to South Jersey, there is that hope of that aviation tech park coming to light.
Yeah,
so,
explain that to folks. By the way, if you're listening on the radio side, this is Anjalee Khemlani, managing editor of ROI-NJ. Explain to folks, getting a little inside here, what is it and why does it matter so much to the economy there?
So the Aviation Tech Park is something that has been in the works for more than a decade. We've had congressman after congressman trying to lobby for funding to go into it.
Does that include Frank Lobiando and others down there?
Actually, Congressman Lobiando was one of the key people, right. As well as at the state level, we had Senator Whalen, who really pushed.
The late Jim Whalen,
absolutely.
who represented the Atlantic City area. Go ahead.
So the idea was to initially focus on what's called next-gen technology. So it's like a different technology used for the routing of airlines and air transportation and air traffic. So that used to be the focus. That was initially the call to attention to that area around the Atlantic City airport that has been undeveloped for a very long time. There is the FAA site there, and there's land around it. And so what they've been doing is been trying to develop it. Whether they started initially with the infrastructure and the routing, so you've seen roads to just empty grass for a very long time. And now they're finally developing it into what looks like a really robust area with a lot of air and space like technology companies coming in there with some interest.
Anjalee, I'm curious about something. What makes looking at the economy in this state and the dramatic, fast-paced, changing economy in this state so fascinating to you?
It's interesting to me how the companies play in the regions when it comes to working with the local government, the municipal government. That's one of the most interesting things to me, is because New Jersey is very unique that way, in that there's a lot of power at the municipal level to really coordinate or make
zoning issues, planning issues,
even just
tax abatements, et cetera,
pilot
et
programs.
cetera. Go ahead.
Absolutely, the relationship is so strong, and I don't know that you can find that in many other places the same way.
Do you think that's somewhat unique to New Jersey?
I do. I really do. I think that there's different power structures where the county or state play more of an important role in some other states.
Yeah.
And I think that in New Jersey, we still have a lot of power at the local level.
You know, I was checking out ROI online the other day, and I realized that you've done a fair amount of work writing about Camden.
I have recently, yes.
Tell us why it matters.
Well,
Why Camden matters and you're writing about it matters.
Camden is an interesting story because there's been a lot of political power behind pushing it to where it is and to getting the attention on it, to reviving it, to creating this Camden renaissance. And I think that behind all that, you don't hear the story of how it's getting there.
Why does that matter?
Well, because every success story has its struggles, right? You have to fail in order to succeed.
Do you want to understand and help people understand why things happen, why they didn't happen, and what it really means?
So what happened, and so I wrote a recent article on this actually about the businesses down there and the struggle that they're having in finding local employees. And it created this whole discussion about whether or not local means the entire swath of the population.
Tell folks what you really meant.
What not I, but what the CEO of Holtec really meant was that there are certain parts of the population where it's very hard to find people and to get them to come to work and follow a regular work schedule. And the tell that he wasn't wrong is that the entire business community has been silent. At the local level, the small business community has been pretty vocal, but when you talk about the business leaders, they've all been very quiet about the whole issue and have had private conversations saying he wasn't wrong. He said it the wrong way, but he wasn't wrong.
Okay, but so we can take something meaningful away from this. What is the moral, the lesson of that?
To make sure that you know what kind of an area you're moving into first. Work with the local community so that you don't have this sort of resistance and this struggle to figure out who your workforce is.
But respectfully, sorry for interrupting.
Yeah.
Anjalee, isn't also about the need to train, retrain, and get folks ready to take on the jobs in the economy in the community that they live in?
And it depends on who you talk to. Talk to the business community and they ask, why should that be our burden? Why is that not the...
That's your workforce.
But is it though?
Is it anyone? Is it government's role individually? Is it the individuals? Is it the corporate? It's all.
Is it education's role?
Absolutely.
So whose role is it? And why weren't conversations had where everyone came to the table beforehand? That's the key.
How dare you ask that question? Anjalee Khemlani is managing editor of a terrific platform with great information, important information every day called ROI-NJ. It's a print publication, comes out, I believe, every 2 weeks, and also online. Check it out on a regular basis. Anjalee, thank you so much. Don't be a stranger on State of Affairs.
Appreciate it.
We'll be right back right after this. I'm Steve Adubato.
To see more State of Affairs with Steve Adubato programs, visit us online at stateofaffairsnj.org. If you would like to express an opinion, email us at info@caucusnj.org. Find us on Facebook at facebook.com/Steve Adubato, PhD. And follow us on Twitter at Steve Adubato.
We are pleased to be joined once again at State of Affairs by State Senator Bob Smith, Chairman of the Senate Environment Education Committee, Steve Adubato, here at State of Affairs. By the way, I say our name and our guest name a lot because we're also heard on different platforms. Sometimes you can't see us. Senator, let me ask you this. A lot of talk about plastics, what to do with plastics. You are the leader in that effort. What are we doing?
On the 27th of September.
We're taping just a little bit before that, but go ahead.
Okay. We are having a committee meeting where we have a whole plastics legislative package, 4 different bills, resolutions.
What does it do?
Well, the big bill, and this is as a result of the Rutgers and Princeton University professors coming in and describing the real problem with plastics. We are going to ban, within a year of the enactment of the legislation, Styrofoam food containers, cups, single-use bags, straws, and potentially in the future, maybe even more. But that's
Whoa, back up.
Sure.
No more Styrofoam cups.
No more.
No more straws.
No more.
No more single, the only time you use this plastic bag once. Out.
Gone. The only exception being on straws. Some disabled people need straws, and restaurants will be able to keep a small amount of straws for those
How
people.
hard is that going to be to do?
Actually, I don't think hard at all. You would be amazed the level of support in the public of New Jersey, the citizens saying enough with the plastics. You know, every year we have the beach cleanups by Clean Ocean Action, and they report the huge quantities of plastics that are on our beaches. You look at the worldwide headlines. We literally have 2 more continents. It's not 7 continents on the planet Earth. There's 9. There's one in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean, all plastics. There's one in the middle of the Pacific Ocean, all plastics. We're killing sea life. But the real shocker at this summer hearing in Toms River, we had the university professors come in, Princeton and Rutgers, and they said, one of them said, this problem is as big as the global warming problem.
This problem?
This problem. And the reason why the plastics are deteriorating into smaller and smaller and smaller particles. Fish life is ingesting them. And it's not just in the ocean, it's also in the fresh waters of the state of New Jersey. They're found, and they are now being incorporated into our bodies.
What?
And when they come into our bodies...
Because people eat fish?
Yep. And when it comes into our bodies, they bring organic chemicals, some of which are carcinogenic. I mean, this is a huge issue, and we have to start dealing with it.
Other states ahead of us on this?
California's probably the most advanced, but there's about 5 or 6 states that have already gone into the ban mode, and it's working well. And the citizens are not upset about it. They're actually applauding that effort. So I think this is going to hopefully go well in New Jersey.
Where is Governor Phil Murphy on this initiative?
My belief is that he's positively inclined. And
Didn't he veto a bill that you sponsored that tried to do some of these things?
no, I didn't sponsor that bill. My name was not on that bill. And the reason it wasn't was because it put a bag fee on single-use plastic bags, 5 cents.
Go ahead.
But the problem with it is, in the states where they have the bag fee, you only get 20% removal. The customers get used to paying the bag fee, and they would rather pay the 5 cents on the bag
Hold on, Senator
and keep
Smith,
on using it.
I'm so sorry for interrupting. Senator Bob Smith, Steve Adubato here. This is State of Affairs. You sound like you just said you didn't think it would have great impact, and that's why you didn't want to be a part of it, and that's why you think Governor Phil Murphy said no.
I think that's true, and I think what happened was that as the legislation was being analyzed for his signature, he also saw the research that said that it would be ineffective.
Got to ban it.
Right. And I have the ban bill in the legislature. I had introduced that earlier before the other bill even passed. So we're now I hope we're going forward with it on the 27th.
Real quick, stormwater. What is the stormwater situation in our state, and why should it matter to us?
Well, it's the last frontier on water pollution. We've gotten industrial waste under control. We have domestic sewage under control, but stormwater is still out of control. And what it means is that whenever you have any kind of a large impervious surface,
What does that mean, a large impervious?
Shopping center parking lots, office parking lots, big impervious surface. Rainwater comes down and it doesn't disappear. It goes into the nearest river or stream, or you may have stormwater structures that are in need of repair. For example, around the Barnegat Bay, there's more than 2,000 stormwater structures that are falling apart, not working the way they should. And one of the consequences of that is the Barnegat Bay is much more polluted than it has to be. But the end result is of allowing all the stormwater to go out into nature is that you erode stream banks, you wash more and more soil away. It's really a very bad thing.
What do we need to do?
And in this country, we have more than 1,500 stormwater utilities around the country, but none in New Jersey.
None?
None, zero.
Because?
Because Governor Christie vetoed the bill. We actually passed the bill while he was governor. The freeholders in Ocean County said this is a tax, and the governor vetoed it. And so
what do we need to do now, Senator?
Well,
Bob Smith?
the stormwater utility bill is now out of the Senate. It's over on the Assembly side, where I think it's going to get a favorable review. And what it does not create any new bureaucracies, but it does allow the sewer utilities or the utilities authorities to now get into the stormwater business. And what they're going to do is to charge a vigorous, an Atlantic City term, a small vigorous.
Vig, on top of the regular price.
For stormwater, for large impervious surfaces. And then that money will be used every year to start solving the problems. And it's worked, like I said, in 1,500 jurisdictions around the
And Governor
country.
Murphy on this?
I start with the governor as maybe the greenest governor I've seen in a long,
Maybe
long
the
time.
greenest governor?
In a long, long time.
Okay,
I think
1 minute
he's
left. Make the
science.
case. Why? What makes you say that?
First of all, he wants us to get back into REGI, all right, which
The regional, excuse me, that
greenhouse
is
gas
the
initiative.
greenhouse that the Governor Christie pulled out of that. This is to get back in.
This is absolutely the get back in. And he's also a big proponent in having renewable energy.
2050, 100% reliance on renewables.
Not just that goal. The BPU just issued a press release that they're issuing an order, putting out requests for proposals for 1,100 megs of new offshore wind off the coast.
We just
of
had
New Jersey.
Bob Gordon, Commissioner, talking about that. State Senator.
Yes, sir.
Bob Smith is the chair of the Senate Environment and Energy Committee. How long have you been there?
As the chairman of the committee?
No, in the legislature.
32 years.
Still having fun?
I'm having more fun than ever.
Good for you. I have fun on my job listening to people like you and learning. Hopefully people do as well. This is Bob Smith. I'm Steve Adubato. Thanks. This is State of Affairs coming to you from the NJ TV studio in New York. We'll check you out next time. Great. Thank you, Bob.
Thanks a lot.
State of Affairs with Steve Adubato is a production of the Caucus Educational Corporation, celebrating over 25 years of broadcast excellence. State of Affairs with Steve Adubato is brought to you from the Agnes Varus NJ TV studio at 2 Gateway. Funding has been provided by PSC&G, NJIT, Suez, St. Joseph's Health, the Nicholson Foundation, supporting Right from the Start NJ, Summit Medical Group, and by the Healthcare Foundation of New Jersey. Promotional support provided by AM 970 The Answer, and by Insider NJ.
Autism is one of the fastest-growing developmental disorders in the U.S. Here in New Jersey, 1 in every 41 children is diagnosed with autism. And when a child is diagnosed with autism, every member of the family is affected. While there currently is no cure for autism, early detection and intervention can offer critical improvements for the child and tremendous benefits for the family. To learn more about autism, contact the Binder Autism Center at St. Joseph's Children's Hospital.